been stars of this. The topic for my talk today is EdTech may be helping your students, but what about you, the teacher? By this statement, I mean that there are many EdTech products for students to help them learn. How effective they are, do they work for all students all the time? These are areas of research, and we will get a clearer picture in due course of time. But until then, undoubtedly, EdTech gives students many options for learning, not only in content, but in the experience of learning. The new national education policy has a grand vision to give students more choices, focus on outcomes rather than syllabus, skills rather than rote learning, and all of this to improve students' life chances. Taken together, these are powerful drivers for change, and teachers are the key facilitators for both. The challenge for educators is to reinvent themselves to deploy technology alongside the best pedagogical practices and content. But what should be the essential questions that teachers and heads of schools must ask themselves? And most importantly, how can we measure success? So let's take a step back and look at what's changing. What students learn is changing. The curriculum is no longer about academic knowledge, but about skills and applied knowledge. And the NEP calls for a broad curriculum with a high degree of integration. How students learn is changing. The NEP suggests moving away from focusing on teaching math, for example. It's not about the math concepts, but to focus on developing mathematical thinking. To move up from focusing on literacy and numeracy to developing cognitive skills. How do teachers measure this type of learning? The assessment system is moving towards measuring outcomes and progress on outcomes. How well versed are we with terms such as formative assessments, ipsative assessments? The NEP lays stress on peer and self assessments, but teachers will need training to facilitate these. In fact, the very definition of school is changing. From a place to go to, a brick and mortar building, it is now being redefined as a place of learning, any place of learning. That place could be anywhere, including online. In fact, online schools are already serving students' needs very well in the US and UK and other countries. And in fact, India's first online school, the Access School, will soon be opening up for admissions. To my mind, this opens up a world of opportunity to teachers. The NEP is strong on welcoming alternate modes of education that offer students greater choice and opportunities to pursue their interests. I was listening to the CBSE chairman, Dr. Saha, talk about this with great insight. He mentioned that in a single academic year, we rarely get more than 50 to 60 requests for unusual cross-curriculum combinations. For example, music with biology and economics, or English literature with math and physics. But we want that there should be more such requests. He said, we understand that schools' infrastructure may find it difficult to offer such cross-curriculum combinations, but we would welcome these. How wonderful is this? We have the unique opportunity to put these aspirations into action. In order to do that, we, the teachers, need to reskill ourselves. We need to be open to relearning pedagogies that include technology to new methods of assessments. How wonderful if we could offer our children a flexible timetable, one that would suit children for their meeting their particular needs. If I was a sports person, and I had a busy schedule, and I could find a school that would allow me to pursue my passion as well as allow me to excel in academics, how wonderful would that be? And the same goes for whether I'm an artist, an aspiring chef, anything at all, a designer, perhaps an ethical hacker, whatever be the case. It would be wonderful if finally education would help me achieve my goals, help me become the best that I can be, and yet allow me to meet the requirements that I need academically and professionally. Thank you. I would be happy to take any questions, Aditi. Would you like to do that
Yes.
now or later?
Ma'am, we can do that now.
Okay.
Attendees, if you have any questions, you can put them in the question and answer section.
And while we are waiting for them, you young girls have been very, very busy.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we have the first question.
Okay.
Ma'am, should I read it out or would you like to read it?
You can read it out.
Siddharth says, how long do you think the new format for education will kick in?
Yeah. You know, one of the things with change is that it should be gradual and it should be confusing. And here's the reason why I say that. Um, Change, which is the most important thing about change, is that it should take people along with it. You don't want to impose change on people, but you certainly want to push for change, and that I believe it has already happened, some by circumstance, uh, with the situation that happened, and some by design, and taken both together, it's very much in the right direction. But yes, change will, like they define development as a spiral sort of movement. You you don't go up the mountain in a straight line, you always go in a spiral manner, which means, in fact, there are periods when you slip back a little, but then you go back up again. So that's absolutely the normal and natural way to go. And I expect that change also will be in this manner. But it has been accelerated due to these two events, so it's wonderful.
Um, One question is, how can you mix biology and music?
How can you not? Good Lord. It's, well, I mean, what I would like is if you could tell me that, but I'm sure you've heard of the Jalta round. And so yes, there's the physics of it, but if I were to ask you that, what if you were to replace the liquid with liquids of of different densities, which again comes back to physics, I apologize, but there are numerous experiments which show that all living systems have a certain sort of, they send out certain rhythms and signals and all of that, and that's all biology as well. So and this, I'm answering your question directly, but what the real question, I think, the example I gave is that, what if I wanted to, at the foundation level, I want to pursue both because I really don't know which one I want to specialize in. Why force me to make that choice now? Allow me to delve into both these subjects a little further down the line and then make a choice, because by then I would know for sure. So, that, in that sense.
Another question is, so would you say IB is closer to the new format than ISC?
Hmm. Well, since I learned in the ISC and I was a teacher in the ISC, so it's a little hard for me to say, but yeah, I think that would be a fair call. That and I would say in its implementation, in spirit, all curriculum and all systems actually want to offer the students choices, and they want to offer students guidance on how best to fulfill their potential. So, in spirit, I don't think there's any one curriculum which you could say does not wish to do that. But in implementation, some are a little better than the others. So, yes, yeah.
Um, Isha asks, how do we go about introducing a holistic learning process in society, especially where education has been equated to our textbooks?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. That's a that's a big question. And perhaps I would say to you that when you know the if you look at the textbook as a binding uh, material, then you have a problem. If you look at the textbook as a doorway that opens up possibilities to much more, then the textbook is not the problem. It's how you treat it. I have had the the absolute joy of teaching through some amazing textbooks, but and for me, I found that they allowed me to lead on to many other avenues of thought and exploration. So it's not really the textbook. It's if you look at the textbook and you allow it to define your knowledge, and it make it the boundaries of where you must operate. If you were to break through, so in a way, I think what I'm saying is that it's in your own head. If you kind of change the mindset, it's not a problem.
Krishiv asks, will there be any cons of the new format of studying?
I'm sure there will be. Nothing in life is all good and all not so good. Um, what comes straight off to me is that, and this allows me to reflect on my previous answer, that is, IB better than ICSC, ISC. The thing is, different strokes for different folks. What works for you may not work so well for me. And I would say the same for this, your present question, that, there will be cons because for some people, it would present challenges and issues which perhaps the old system did not. But that doesn't mean that we give up because life goes forward. Yeah?
Sanjana asks, what do you have to say about standardized tests and colleges going test optional?
So, right. Thank you. I love talking about assessments. Standardized tests are supposed to serve just one function. Unfortunately, they have come to be adopted by everyone as the better form of testing. A standardized test, by its very nature, um, is meant to act as a filter towards a particular course or towards something. So you're basically saying that how do I measure 200 million people? It's impossible if I start personalizing all their measurements for all of them. So the question is, again, it's not the problem with the standardized test. It's what you do with the result. If at when you get the result and you announce that all of you who got this much are the best, the most intelligent, the most capable, that's where we go wrong. It's not about the instrument, it's about what you do with the result. Unfortunately, that's what's happened. We think that you know, how you perform on the standardized test decides who you are. That's the problem. The standardized test, if it was meant to test whether you're great in math in comparison to someone else, perhaps is doing its job quite fairly. It's doing it quite accurately, especially if it's being constructed well. The problem is that you take that result and you say, well, everybody who scores high in math is more intelligent than the others or is more capable, and so on and so forth. That's where we go wrong, you know, and that's the problem. So we need to become more educated, more informed. And, you know, if you kids are out there, um, educate your parents. You know, I know as kids you think your parents are your parents, and therefore, you know, they are know, you know, they know everything or they should know everything, right? And then as you get older you discover, darn, they don't. And then you might go through either of this, that it's a disappointment or it's scary, either ways. But don't let it be. They're just human beings, and the world is changing so fast. You guys are able to keep up with it far better than many of us. I'm a parent too. My advice to you will be educate them, inform them, and they will be so much more grateful to you for that.
Tia asks, do you feel that the current way we are educating children fully prepares them for the needs of the future?
Nothing can fully prepare you for any future. And that's a fact. Okay, that's one of the things you learn in life as you go along. And that's one of the best things in life. You know, you look back and when you're as old as me, and you'll say, all the amazing memories happened when I hadn't planned them, when I hadn't accounted for them, and I hadn't prepared for them. And some of your biggest lessons will be your failures. Everyone says it, but for some reason, everyone dreads it. So, if I was to say to you, I would say, don't dread them. They are precious, and they are the ones. It's in that gap, in that area that you will grow. So, sorry, I've forgotten what the original question was. I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah. Now I can repeat it. Do you feel that the current way we are educating children fully
Yeah.
prepares them for the needs of the future? Yeah.
So no fully preparing, but it's not bad, you know. And it may not be the best, but it's not that bad. And believe me, add a, you know, put in a little bit of effort yourself, and my goodness, the internet out there, you've got it all. Don't worry about it.
Um, Last question, ma'am. We don't have enough time, but we can continue the questions in the roundtable conference.
All
How
right.
will the new policy be implemented in government schools?
Yes, that is a challenge. So, what the government is planning to do, in fact, August 31st, today is the last day. The policy has been asking for ideas on how they can implement it. So, you know, they have kept this open for everyone. And today, August 31st, they close. The plan is that uh, we will be getting a new national curriculum framework, which will be the implementation guide to how this can be implemented. At this point, everybody, all the government officials that I have heard speaking about this, they're very, very open to it. We are a very diverse country. And I had the good fortune of working with the CBSE for a couple of years. And I can tell you the amount of respect that is given to a school in the Andaman Nicobar Islands following the same curriculum, and another school which could be in any of the metropolitan cities. But the board tries to take care of all of them. You know, it's not an easy task. You'd be amazed when you're actually out there, you realize just what diversity actually means. So we are very blessed, and this is something that needs to be protected in a way. We must have flexibility and diversity, allowing us to cater to you know, that particular local area. if because they know best and things. Yeah. So yes, government schools will, but there is a plan to make sure that we implement it to the best of our ability.
Well, I just like to say thank you. I think I can speak on behalf of all of the attendees that we actually found this really insightful. And thank you so much for answering all of our questions. We now invite all the attendees who wish to join the roundtables to go back to the previous tab and join the roundtable session. Next up, we have the head of the Analog Electronic Systems section at the ISRO Satellite Center, Sonal Navle. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Thank you very much.